Hey, what's up guys? This is Michael again. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to look at karate through Aikido today. Before I begin on that, I just want to say I always hate versus videos. Like when you see videos that are like karate versus this or karate versus that or MMA versus this. I know they're great titles and it gets a lot of clicks, but it's so disingenuous, right? Because whatever you see, whatever fight you see in that does not represent the whole style. It represents the practitioner, the fighter in that video itself. So don't think about, hey, karate lost to Muay Thai because this guy lost to this guy. There are great karate fighters that beat a lot of Muay Thai guys in the past in high level competition. So if you think about martial arts as an umbrella of people who train and people who don't train, the goal of the people who train should be just trying to get people who don't train to start training, because we're all in this together. We're on this journey. Nobody has it all figured out. Everyone has their own life experiences. Some people grew up fighting on the streets to defend themselves. Other people grew up in an MMA gym from the age of 5 and now are pro fighters, right? Two very different skill sets and also two highly practical skill sets. But again, it's completely different and there's no way to compare the two. You can't say a street-based background is going to be better than an MMA background or vice versa. One thing you can say is how a style or an art in general practices and utilizes and implements its practice, right? Its techniques. And Aikido in general has always gotten a bad rep on, hey, this looks really fancy, it's not very practical, etc. But if you think about Aikido as a concept-based art, or you boil it down to its basic concepts, it's using the opponent's energy against them. It's trying to be as efficient and using your entire body weight against your opponent as well. If you just took that sentence and just pasted it into other more popular styles, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, all these other styles that other people have had better marketing for, they would try to use that same concept as well. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is all about using your opponent's energy against them and trying to be as efficient with your body anatomically as possible, right? And Aikido does that as well. Now, again, what I just said, the difference is a training method. That does not negate the entire style itself, though, right? The core principles within each style is still very valid. I've trained with Tai Chi guys at a high level, and they all just look like grapplers, right? The only difference is maybe most Tai Chi guys don't get the wrestling hard sparring that most wrestlers or MMA fighters get. That does not diminish their style. It's the training method. That's what this channel have always been about. If you followed me from my karate culture days and followed my journey in trying to spread this message, I try to show comparisons between styles, through styles, but not versus styles, right? Because it's all just human movement. It's just basic body mechanics and physics. There's no one invented those things. That's just what we evolved and were born with. And that's kind of the rule set we as humans on Earth had to play in. I mean, Bruce Lee said it back in the 60s and 70s, and it's interesting to see how people have just fragmented, even among the karate community, that we fragmented based on styles and based on country of origin and based on preferences for punching versus kicking. But you could see those preferences and distinctions even among the same style within the same dojo. It's just based on body type. So going into this Aikido's footage, right? I'm going to show a lot of comparisons between Aikido movements and karate katas that are very common. Two things to think about here. Aikido is great at having two hands employed, and I talk about this a lot, especially in Okinawan karate, the idea of meo tode, right? So husband and wife hands. And for you guys who follow this channel pretty frequently, you hear me say that all the time, but that's like a very overarching precept of Okinawan karate. Very rarely you have just one arm doing something. You're using your whole body through the motion. One arm is grabbing, one arm is pushing, pulling, etc. You need to use your whole entire body. Aikido does that very well. Point two, Aikido is great at tension and redirecting that tension. And if you think about the Chinese version of this, like Tai Chi, right? The goal is to use your opponent's energy against them. So you're leading them on, making them overextend, breaking their posture through movement. And you're not trying to break their posture through being overly aggressive or trying to muscle it, because you want to think, if I'm going to be as efficient as possible, I want to be as mechanically sound as possible. I'm going to use my whole body weight. I'm not going to try to out muscle them, out strength them, because the assumption is always the opponent's bigger, stronger, faster than you. And Aikido does this very well. Now, some critiques of the Aikido training methodology, right? They don't do the live sparring as much as other more modern or more sportive arts. But one good thing about them is they're able to drill a lot of techniques that most hard sparring people don't get to drill, primarily like wrist locks and joint locks and stuff from a standing position. That's very hard to do live and fast without injuring your opponent. And Aikido has done a great job in figuring out how to break fall and ukemi and flip through the air to prevent a lot of injuries for their partners. So there's a lot of things we can learn from each other. There's a lot of parallels you can find. A couple more things on my list before I close off this video. You'll see like their hands moving up to down, right? So you're guiding somebody's head down to the ground. You're guiding someone's arm who's reaching out to you down and spiraling. All the turns, the 180 turns, the 90-degree turns. You see those turns a lot in throwing arts and grappling arts, right? In judo and wrestling. But you see it a lot in Aikido as well, and they do it more with like head and arm throws and also joint manipulation. So there's body shifting happening within the clinch. And as you guys know with me, I am a big advocate for clinch fighting. I probably sound like a broken record, but it just needs to be said every single time, right? So Aikido does have a lot of things going for it. A lot of their movements look very similar to movements in karate if you have that lens, if you approach karate with that type of lens, right? And I think that's a great analogy. If you think about putting on different glasses or different sunglasses with different color lenses, right? You're seeing the same picture, but you're seeing it with a different filter on. And imagine how great of a martial arts community it would be if people were willing to just put on different glasses when they watch a video. Because I could look at Aikido from a striking lens, and I put on my striking glasses and I see, hey, these are great entrances for striking. I could put on my glasses for the throwing, the joint manipulation lens, right? So again, these are all there if you're willing to see it. And a lot of times schools, they kind of have a culture of preventing you from seeing it just because there's like a power, a hierarchy to hold power, right? But again, you're on your own journey. I hope you got some clips from here that kind of were eye-opening, and I hope you just continue progressing down your journey. Like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit some personal goals of mine for this channel. So the more we can get eyes on this, the more grateful I'll be. So thank you. Train hard.